Greetings, everybody. I'm going to try to slow down my thoughts here because I struggle with keeping up with my thoughts. That's why sometimes when I'm doing a video, I find that I don't finish my thought. I jump on to the next thing that I need to say because my mind is always moving rapid. So I'm going to slow down my thoughts so I can be more coherent. We'll see. I'm not promising you, I'm going to try. Now, I woke up this morning and I woke up with this song in my mind. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna come and trouble the waters. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna come and trouble the waters. I'm sorry, I can't sing, but you get the message. Now, I also woke up with Asantewa, Asantewa on my mind. And, I go to do some more research on this African queen and realized that she was born October 17th and she died October 17th. So she was born October 17th, 1840, and she died October 17th, 1921. Now, I was sort of blown away by it because my last child was born October 17th. And so I usually take these as clues of something that we need to pay attention to. So for those of you who never heard of Yaa Asantewaa, she, as I said, was born October 17th, 1840 and died October 17th, 1821. She was the queen mother of Ejisu in the Ashanti Empire, now part of modern-day Ghana. She led the Ashanti War, known as the War of the Golden Stool, and I've talked about that on my channel before. So somehow, the spirit of Yaa Asantewaa is directing this conversation today. And if it makes sense to you, blessings to you. And if it doesn't, same. Now, I am doing a review on a video that I saw on Empress Yuda's channel, and I'm going to leave a link to it. And to be honest with you, when I started watching the video, very early in on this video, some things or some words jumped out at me, and some of them were quite scary, to be honest with you. Now, I have more questions. This video is not based on some conspiracy. This video is based on the fact that as a human being and as a citizen of the world, there are things that I don't understand, and no one seemed to be explaining it to me. And a lot of us have these questions and we don't know the answer to, and we would like to. So we're not trying to, come out here and disrupt the order of things. We're trying to get answers. I think we're entitled to answers, and these answers must be the truth. Now, in the video that I watched, and you see the link, there's some things that came out. For one, this gentleman was talking about the plans that were being rolled out to test, to track, to trace, and that there is an application that is made or created to help to deal with the fight of this thing that we're dealing with in the world. I don't want to say the name of it. And the aim is to slow the spread of it, according to them, and it's to protect, I guess, the healthcare industry. And so when they talk about it, or when the individual who was doing the video was talking about it, he was looking at projections, and the idea is to go further, to go faster in the nation's effort to deal with the thing that we're all facing right now. The aim, and this is what really got to me, the aim, he said, was to trace, to track, and to implement what seems like a plan B, rolling out this test, this track, this trace for the purpose of hunting down, hunting down. Very interesting use of word. Hunting down, isolating this big V, and so it is unable to reproduce. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about an illness or a disease, or are we talking about people? Because, I've never heard anyone use that expression when they're dealing with pathology. Hunting down, isolate to prevent something from reproducing. Now, he talks about, this targeted approach, and that is at an unprecedented scale and complex. But here's the other thing that jumped out at me. It has a global reach, and the aim is to build an army of human tracing using this application on a mass scale across the country and thereby globally eventually. Because now we're told that the Isle of Wight, which is something I never heard of before, so I had to go research that too to find out what is this Isle of Wight, and why is this first place selected to do this rollout and these testings of isolating and hunting down and making sure that this thing doesn't reproduce. So the individuals on the Isle of Wight are going to be tested in a control setting before this thing is rolled out. And what this application is trying to do, or aims to do, is to track the distance between individuals. So once these folks on the island download this app, it will give those who are monitoring the situation the opportunity to see distancing continue. But the question I have for this is, what if you're someone who is not into technology? What if you're someone, the question is not if you don't have a phone, because if this is going to be rolled out, of course, if you can't afford a phone, you'll be given one. But I'm saying, what if you're not into technology? So are you going to be forced to do this thing? It says this app, the intention of this, or the reason why this was created, was to save lives. And my question here is, who created this app? I'd like to know who is the one who created this app. So the trial doesn't mean that there's going to be an end of social distancing, but after 5 tests and before it's rolled out to the rest of the country. In the meantime, people are asked to stay home to protect whatever and to save lives. Let's go back to the old thing about the island, let me see what it's called again, because again it was new, Isle of Wight. So the Isle of Wight, this is the information I found. The Romans arrived 43 AD and translated WIHT into the name Vectis from the Latin viho, meaning lifting. So this Isle of Wight actually means lifting. 400 BC, Iron Age Celts from the continent gave Wight its name, meaning place of the division because it is between the two armies of the Solent. And island separated from mainland by deep strait is known as a Solent. So who owns the Isle of the Wight? The isle was owned by Norman family until 1293 and was earlier a kingdom in its own right. In common with the Crown dependency, the British Crown was represented on the governor of the Isle of Wight until 1995. In 1890, Isle of the Wight was part of Hampshire until 1890 when it became a country. That's just a little tidbit. You can go do more research for yourself. How important is this in this discussion? For some reason, when I wake up this morning with Ya Asante War on my mind, the only thing I could think about is warfare and resistance. That's what she represents. And if I'm going to tie these two things in, And then the Spirit was on me this morning that was, leading me to sing this song. I couldn't stop. I couldn't control myself. So it is sort of evoking a feeling in me. And so when I saw this video, I'm thinking to myself, what is this? Now, one ought to be very careful when you're coming out here and having these discussions, because you don't want to give the impression that you're out here spreading fear, or you're out here, causing tension or causing division or whatever. But as a citizen of the world, as a human being, I'm going to tell you this is very frightening. It is very frightening to me because individuals have made the choice or the decision to roll out what is called a system that is going to track, it's going to trace, and it's going to isolate individuals. It is going to prevent something from reproducing. Who or what is this thing that is going to be prevented from, reproducing? It's very scary. And somehow in this dialogue or this conversation, I'm not hearing anything about choice. It sounds like, well, we've decided to do this, and here's how we're going to roll it out, and this is how we're going to monitor you. So are we monitoring people? Because how does an application monitor an illness or a disease? An application. Is this isolation thing going to be a permanent thing? Is this the new order of the day? Is this where the world is going to go? If it is, it's very scary. And what kind of options will mankind have in coming with this? Who's behind this app? What is the aim of this app? Because it says here, but it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. So for those of you who are in positions of power, who have the ability to break it down for me, I would welcome that. I welcome it. The truth is, I've spoken to 3 different persons in the healthcare field yesterday, and all 3 was saying that some of the hardest hit areas are people who have passed away are Black folks. And I can't say I know this for a fact because I have not done any research on that yet. But when I hear that, it's very, very scary. And when I hear to prevent from reproducing, to be honest with you, it has me very mortified. Yeah, Asante freedom fighter, red letter liberator, daughter from the kingdom of Kush. How long? How long shall our freedoms be taken from us? See, the question is, when you really think about it, we have never ever had control. We nor our ancestors never had any control in this modern time or the times before we were brought to these lands. There have always been individuals who have taken away our liberty and our freedoms at will. So it's not really anything new. And some have stood up and fought for their freedom, and some died. And some of us have surrendered to the will. And surrendered. And I wonder how long we're going to be wading in the water. When will mankind receive the freedom that is rightfully ours? That you don't have a handful of persons deciding for us. Technology taking our rights and our liberty, technology made by the hand of man, usurp the hand of God. Man, in all their glory, seek to observe the will of the universe. We're wading in this water. We're wading in this water. And we're like children waiting for that instruction. That song, Wading in the Water, was songs that slave sung on the cotton, in the cotton fields, sending message to each other about waiting to escape. And so it's in my spirit, and I'm trying to join that to my reasoning with this thing. What is the coincidence, or what is the meaning of this, that this thing is going to be tested? 80,000 people on the Isle of Wight. And if you do your research on that, you'll find out more about it. My ancestors rise up in me, and my ancestors are saying, we fought and died for liberty. No one gave this to us. We fought and died for it. And here we are. Some very wealthy person or someone is going to get very wealthy from this thing that is created that may or may not bring us freedom. What are we looking at? What are we expecting to see going forward? That's my question. I'm not opposing governments or opposing, health people or any of these things. I'm just saying, what does this mean for humanity? What does it mean for me and all the people in the world? No one separated, no one categorized, or no one, everyone. What does this mean for all of us? What does it mean? What are we looking at? I've tried to stay away from this conversation, but exactly what are we facing? What are we dealing with? What's going to happen? And just the thought that a handful of people can determine this thing for all humanity, there's something in me. Asantewaa is rising up in me, and she's kicking. She's kicking because she's saying, what? You can't control everybody's destiny. What? What? We're all wading in the water. And many of us, we are wading in the water because we don't want to be slaves. We don't want to be enslaved. We're wading in the water. We want to escape. Humanity have always had people who were held in bondage. If you look at all these different civilizations that enjoy having people in bondage, people were always plotting and scheming to get out of it. People will not accept bondage. And if you go into scriptures, you look at Moses taking the people them out of wherever, Israel, people will never just surrender. How can you use artificial intelligence to secure our freedom, to protect our health? I just don't understand it. I'm asking questions. Don't come for me. Maybe it's time for us to dash away these phones. It's time to dash away these things that have held us captive, that we can't live without. We can't even have a relationship with people anymore because of these things that we have. The Isle of Wight is now rolling out the app. And when they're tested and then they complete the test, the rest of the UK and the rest of the world by extension will fall into line. Is this really what's going to happen? We're all going to, we don't have a choice. We're going to all have this app that's going to make sure that if you're too close to me, everyone will know who is close to who. And, what about people whose hearts are not right and intentions are not right? You could just come to my home and tell me that I was in touch with someone who had whatever, and then you take me and do what with me? Do what? We're wading in the water. My people have always found methods. The women in my race, past and present, are still rebellious in our spirit. And we're always wading in the water. Always wading in the water. And these waters are troubled. They're troubled. They're troubled. They're troubled. They're troubled. Stay blessed, everybody.